Hello everybody, it is Ebontis, and in this video we're going to be doing a bit more of advanced tips and things the game doesn't tell you, stuff that might not be as obvious, but hopefully takes your Borderlands gameplay, whichever character you're on, to the next level. So let's get started. First thing I want to talk about is options. For options, you've got a few that you might want to look at. Under normal gameplay, echolocation, path, visibility, duration. I think I touched on this in my previous beginners video. Also, if you haven't seen that, I covered a fair amount of beginners type stuff in there, so go check it out. You know, check the link in the description, check the video at the end, it's out there. Echo path location, when you bring up Echo, he has a cooldown. So you can't always just constantly spam him to do a new path. So if you want that thing to last longer, put it on long. If for some reason it's on there too long, maybe medium fits a little better for you. But honestly, for me, long feels like I can usually keep up with it for a really long time. And then by the time his cooldown's up, I'm good to go. The other one, I was torn. I was like, hey, the compass has the stuff that's in front of me. I know it's in that general direction, but I really could never see behind me. Radar just has been better feeling for enemy placement around you. If something's behind you, it's not going to show up on the compass, but it will show up on the radar kind of thing. So my advice, toggle the radar to that radar if it works for you. If your HUD's already too much, I understand, but for me, the radar is better feeling. When you get over to accessibility, yes, you've got your standard accessibility stuff. Audio and visual, that's totally up to you. If you have certain sound issues or colors, that's definitely check that stuff out. The gameplay stuff, I actually recommend going for a couple of these. Map zoom speed, the map is so slow at base. It starts here. I moved it to this and it's pretty reasonable, like somewhere at 2.5 or 3. Try that out, it will feel much better. Screen shake intensity, if you're not a fan of that, obviously change that up if you want to. Mantle with forward. Basically, if you're running and holding forward and the game could mantle, it will, as opposed to trying to have to hit another button and jump again. Just, you're holding forward, turn it on, makes life a little bit easier. Camera head bob, if that's not a fan, you know, change that thing wherever you prefer it, test it out, see how it feels. Grapple view tilt. This is a weird one, but basically, if your grapple, like, camera is locked to where it's supposed to be, or if you want to have a little more freedom of control while you're grappling of what you're looking at, that might actually work better for you. So try that one both ways. That can be kind of a preference. You're not really going to miss where you grapple jump to, but you might want to look around a bit more, and that'll give you access to do that. So a couple other settings that I've learned as we've gone along, so check that one out. Map zoom speed alone, man, that's just going to help a ton. This is another thing, loot as junk. I cannot tell you how great this is for sifting through stuff. So you can take something and you can equip it. Honestly, some things you're looking at and you're like, just give me that right now. Bam, equipped. The difference is when you take as junk, you pick this thing up, and this is a good thing to use if you're like, I'm getting ready to fast travel to a vendor or like a safe house or an order silo, anywhere that has one of those little vending machines. And then all you do is you go to your inventory, and guess what? When you look at your guns, it's instantly junked. So just literally as soon as you teleport wherever you're going, sell it all off and it's just easy money. It's one of those things that is going to make you money a bit more passively than you think, because you're like, oh, I finished a fight, let me pick up what I want, and then I'll head back and, you know, maybe sell some stuff off. Well, if there's a few more things on the ground and you're like, I know I'm just going to sell them off, pick them all up as junk, and then as soon as you teleport where you're going, just sell everything else off too, and it's just going to speed the process up. So pick up as junk is fantastic. Now, when it comes to your money, what it's typically going to be used for is a penalty upon death, which sucks, but it's 10%. The cost to respec your skills is also 10%. Now, you notice those are percentages. Whether you have a lot or you have a little, you're going to use percentages. But if you get to, say, boss farming, for example, that's like 30,000 per pull on one of those, like, boss respawners. I know, easy, yeah, the zoom is so much better now. Like down here in the starting location, everybody talks about Splash Zone as an easy boss down here. And you can just replay the boss, but it's 30,000 a pop. If you're running out of money, that's not so great. So that's one of the reasons why looting as junk is definitely beneficial. But also that 10% rule just is definitely going to hold true for the deaths. So you got to be a little careful with those. You'll lose some chunks of money. And the respecking will cost. But also later on, there's going to be vending machines. There is a legendary vending machine, which is wild, and I think the community is going to have to help find that one. You're going to want to just kind of hold on to your money and use it where you will, but when it does come to respecking, you're going to need to go to proper locations, which are the major towns. You're going to need to find the respecking thing, and it's going to cost you 10%. So me right now, that's going to be pretty expensive, but expensive for me is relative, because right now it's going to cost me 171,000. Later on, if you're sitting there on like 50 million, and it's going to cost you 10% of that, like 5 million, that is a lot of boss farming that you would give up just to respec. So respecking earlier on is going to be way cheaper, even though it feels like a lot, even at my level, than it is towards in-game, because the amount of money you're going to give up later on is going to be a lot. So tinker with your build early. If I've been doing this for a while and I'm about level 29, almost 30, now is probably a good time for me to try these other two, see if the builds work, see how they feel, before I really kind of sink into a build with this character, because I don't want to do a bunch of respecking at high levels. Kind of figure it out early and see how a lot of the stuff works, and then when you're going to lean farther into stuff, that's fine, but at least figure out, do you like the super, do you like the augments, do you like the capstone? See what's ticking for you, and then once those boxes are checked, you know, then your points can get filled out. But if you're just experimenting at level 50 with all this stuff, it's going to get really, really pricey, so just be careful with that. So if you have multiple skill points to use, you can actually try spots to see, hey, is it 4 or 5 skill points that get me down to the capstone? Maybe I need to fill out something else to go a different direction. If you stay on this screen, and you say have multiple skill points to use, you could apply them in, and then maybe you want to undo 2 and put 2 over here, or maybe undo all 4 and put them all down here. Whatever it may be, you can do it in this screen, if you've piled up multiple skill points especially. But as soon as you leave the screen, they're locked in. Now, I don't think there's any pop-up that's like, hey, you're going to spend these skill points and lock them in. They are just there. So be aware, if you put a skill point in and you change screens, it's locked in. If you stay on the screen, you actually can undo while on that screen. Alright, let's talk about a few things in inventory. First is armor versus energy shields. And for me, as a solo player especially, or depending on your playstyle, if you're a bit more up in the mix, armor is going to be more beneficial to you, because the big thing about energy shields, like I've got one here with 2700. The only big problem, like if you're in a group, you play a little farther back, maybe you're ranged and assaults or snipers, and that's your purpose, this is great, because you can have big energy shield, you've got a regenerate that'll probably kick it back up pretty quickly, maybe some resistance. The big problem for anybody who's going to get hit consistently is the regen delay. 4.2 seconds feels like an eternity when you're in the middle of one of those little purple domes running around like an idiot, kind of getting peppered with shots occasionally. Your shield is never going to come back. The thing about armor is it just trickles up. And depending on the number of chunks you have, each chunk, like if you have 2, the chunks take a little bit longer. So you've got 3, they go a little bit quicker. But 1, you have actual damage reduction, so you will take less damage even if the number is a bit smaller. But 2, it's the fact that it's always ticking up. Nothing, doesn't matter. As long as you're alive and moving around, the little gauge that builds up slowly for an armor chunk builds up. Now, there's also some things that will drop over shields or chunks of armor, and those make things a little bit different. But for me, it's the idea that the armor is always building. It's not waiting on a delay. It's always coming eventually, and that little chunk of armor that appears right before you might take a hit could save your life in the event that maybe on the other side, the timer wasn't quite up for the energy shield. So, depending on your playstyle, you may like one or the other, and that's totally fine, but if you're struggling, try the other type and see what works for you. Honestly, armor shields are probably the way I'm going to go, because I think the way they work, the more chunks of armor that you get, the quicker they come back. And then depending on what perks you have below, you might even get more benefit from them. So, for me, armor shields is the win so far. Maybe I'll find a good use for energy shields, but so far, that's the one for me. Next thing to talk about is right here actually on this piece of gear, and they are set bonuses. These are going to start to come into play mid-20s-ish. I'm starting to see them very much for endgame, because they do 2 things. 1, you get some really good perks the more of that set that you use. So you can see 30% accuracy is nice, but every critical hit grants 15% critical damage, and it stacks up to 5 times. And at level 2, it's 25%, so you stack all that together, it's 100% critical damage. That could be huge for whatever weapon you're using, especially if you got like a sniper and you're just like shooting somebody in the dome. That's going to hit really, really hard. So, how do these work? Well, later on, once you beat the campaign, you're actually going to be able to take these... they're set bonuses, but they call them firmware, and you're going to be able to take this off of this item and put it somewhere else. But just remember, if you take it off and put it on something else, it is super glued there. It is not coming off. So you get to move it once, but the idea is what you want to start doing early on when you're playing through and you see some of these things with set bonuses on them, start saving them. Take them, put them in your bank, and tuck them away for later. And maybe I don't love energy shields right now, but that God Killer set may work really well in a build in-game. Then, if you have 3 of these pieces, you can go 1, 2, 3, and just stack them all on some legendaries or purples that you found at level 50, when you know you're going to be using those until you maybe make a very different build. That's when you bring them back out, you get 3 of them going, 2 more up here, and you have 3 of one set, 2 of another, and some of those set bonuses are massive. So, when you see anything with those on there, and also I will put in a screenshot so you can see actually when items drop on the ground, they have this weird, almost technological lines around it. They look weird, jagged, but sharp, like 90-degree lines. They look almost like, I call them Vex, but that's from a Destiny thing. But they look like specific lines. If you see that on the ground, that's actually something that has a set bonus on it as well. And this is another reason why you're going to want to build up some of your bank status as you start to accumulate all of these pieces of like firmware bonus outside of legendaries. You're going to need a place to put them. So don't forget about stocking up your bank the higher you get up in levels so you have space to put them. Quick thing I do want to mention on enhancements. So you're going to have your guns with Order, or you're going to have your guns with Vladof, or Torg, or Malawan, or Daedalus. That is the top level. So it's like guns with Daedalus license parts slowly regenerate reserve ammo while equipped. Cool. Everything else is universal, not specifically to just your Daedalus weapons. So pistol accuracy, shotgun status effect chance, sniper rifle equip speed, that is all just universal. Same thing down here. Gunfire rate, gun ADS, gun status effect chance. Those are truly universal. So it's like, those are for everything. So while you may have something that helps like an Order weapon do something cool, pay attention to the other ones, because while if your one Order weapon is cool but the other 3 kind of suck, you might actually want to look at something else that gives you a better benefit to whatever loadout you've got going on. And that's why I tend to keep one of each type that has like a good set of perks that I might use, and then I kind of switch between them. So backpack size is good to be able to keep a few of these different ones, but that's also why the top part is nice, but the bottom part matters just as much, because some of these can be really important depending on what weapons you have. So pay attention to both the top, but also the bottom, because the universal ones can pair well. If you're using, like, say, all Malawan, that could be crazy. I probably wouldn't do that, but because that's all going to be elemental. But it's like if you got Torg here, and they fire projectiles that explode on proximity, well, there we go. Now we're getting explosions at proximity, all gun bonuses. Now we might be cooking with something. So just look at those. This is where like a level 20, you know, it might be not be the best stats in the world, but if you got 3 things that really work for you, you might use a really old one here and it might last you a while. The other thing you want to do is inspect your gear. Now on a sniper rifle, standard here, you see I've got impact or damage per shot, whatever that specifically is called. You've got accuracy, your reload speed, rounds per second, magazine size. Cool. But if you go and actually inspect it, you actually see a little bit more. I've got plus 50% critical damage, and then splash radius is 100 centimeters. Not really getting a big blast out of these. But if you come over here and you look at another sniper rifle, so I was looking at this Ripper sniper, and say I come up here to this sniper, you're like, okay. Even this one, for example, the DPS here is 544 versus 549. Now, the impact is higher, it's going to fire a little bit slower, they might have some compensation to it. But maybe you have a crit build. Remember the crit percent here is 50% critical bonus? Maybe you have a build that leans into critical strikes and you lean into those a lot more. 107% instead of 50. That's going to make a huge difference in how that thing plays out, and maybe your build is going to be way more beneficial of a Jacob sniper. So it's the little inspection things that you might not think of. Like here's plus 50%. Jacobs is going to be a sniper important one. That's why you come over here. Guess what about this one? 180%. It's huge. So that's just one of those little things you might not have noticed yet so far. But if you're really going into certain builds, that's one more piece of the puzzle to kind of check on. Because this sniper rifle here looks like it's just, this thing straight up should hit like a truck. Slow firing, 90% accuracy, 804 on impact, DPS is solid for my level. Cool, I equip that thing. And then all of a sudden I'm either hitting massive numbers if I'm hitting domes, and I'm like, what is going on? And maybe over in your skills category, you've leaned into critical damage bonus, and something with criticals helps. Here you go, see there's my critical hit damage bonus I've got. When you start putting all those pieces of the puzzle together, things hit harder and harder, and you become more and more potent as a character. So, just wanted to bring up Inspect because I really didn't pay attention to it too much. Excuse me. But when you start noticing certain things that are going to make a difference, that's where it can be worth checking and be like, is this really the best kind of thing to use? And it might be better or worse than you think it really is. I covered this in a YouTube short, but don't sleep on fishing. The biggest thing is just learning the timing of it. When you see the icon actually flash, that's when you want to hit the button. So you might stare at it for a while, and then when the cursor actually grows bigger and gets a bit more vibrant and saturated in color, that's when you want to go for it. So you might stare for a little while and be like, nothing is happening. I promise you, at some point it will change, and then you'll be able to fish. So maybe I had to move down here a little bit closer, and there it is. You pull it up, you actually get, well, it's not much on that one, but I will tell you, I've seen a lot of things come out of here, and you can get legendaries from fishing. There's a legendary ordnance I've heard of, which is actually like throwing a fish. I think that thing's kind of a beast. So spend a little time when you see bodies of water that are fishable and fish, and then you might actually get some good stuff. You might have to sort through how much you get. And then occasionally there's actual like explodable barrels that come up too, but there you go. Purple just from fishing. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. All right, so let's talk about mobility. You've got a little bit more when it comes to mobility than you might think. Now you have your standard double jump, and you have your dash. But if you combine these things, you can get a little bit more out of them than you would think. If you've got an enemy fighting you, if you're just running backwards and you do like a dash jump, so if it's here, you can really cover a lot of ground to give yourself distance against, say, like a big melee slam that's going to come down. This is good against some bigger boss fights when they're going to get some chunky damage. You can back away pretty quick. Kind of nice. Same thing about sideways. They're almost the same. So if you're holding that direction and you literally just go dash and jump, so for me, just shift space, that's a pretty big jump sideways as opposed to just like the jump and then dash. Now, when you're going forward, it's a little bit different because you literally have to jump and then dash jump to get that momentum again. So if you're running forward, then you can get that. So it's a combination of more buttons, one more. So run, jump, dash jump. Then you get that momentum to really get a nice glide forward. So dash jumping is nice. But sometimes you're like, I cannot scale this wall. But if you can spawn your wonderful little digibike, which I keep forgetting, Digirunner, I say it wrong every time, you can actually jump higher than you think. Because when you jump off of the bike, you get a little boost. And you can use that for more. So normally if I do 1, 2, that's as high as I'm going. And if I'm here and I'm trying to like jump, it ain't happening. But if I'm on my Digirunner, same spot right here, try and get up next to it. And this is how you can jump up to places maybe you might not be able to get to otherwise. Jump off your bike a little bit, but actually have the bike jump before you jump. A lot of saying jump, I know. But it's like jump, then jump off, and then you can double jump. And look, that was easy. I wasn't even close to here before, not a problem getting up. So again, use the bike, let the bike itself jump, and then at the top of that jump, jump off, and then you've got a double jump after that, way more height than you normally would get to. So the Digirunner extra jump height, use that to do a little bit more exploring. You might surprise yourself in where you can get. Another thing is, not all side quests are made equal. And the main reason you want to save your side quest for later is you're going to have specializations once you get to level 50. It's actually a really good time to save up your high level side quests. Like this is a blue reward, blue experience. It's going to give you 2 tiers. Come over here, this one's blue. All right, come over here, this one's purple. So you're getting more experience from doing this side mission than you would be doing this one. Look for any more side quests. This one, that one's going to be blue. Rewards are green to purple. That's your kind of range. Might come over here, and again, purple experience. So if you want to do side quests while you're doing your campaign, that's fine. I honestly would probably tell you to just golden. It's one of the rare moments I would actually say, even for somebody like me who likes to explore, just golden path the story. Truly, do the main missions, stick to it, because everything levels with you anyway. Whether I'm doing a side mission over here now, or I come back and do it later, it's going to be the level I am. If I'm doing the campaign now or later, it's still going to be the level I am. So it doesn't really matter to, and same, the campaign's the same way. It's not like when I go to fight the major boss in this like whole mountainous zone, it's not like it's going to be level 30, it's going to be the level I am, whether it's 20 or 35 or whatever it may be. So I would probably say golden path it, then you can explore it. Now, if you're one of those who just likes to check every box too, that's fine. But I would say try and save some of the purple experience. Look at that, purple experience, gold money. I guarantee you, you do this at level 50, the money you get by doing it at level 50, probably going to be noticeably more. I don't know for sure, but I know the money could scale. Maybe it will, maybe it won't. But the experience, definitely going to be the one you want to save up for later on, because that will benefit you much, much more when you're really trying to like struggle to come up with things besides just shooting enemies and doing world bosses to get experience. So yeah, if you can save your purple side quests, do it. If you really want to do some side quests while you're leveling, look for the blue level things. And then when it comes to stuff that looks like it's got a lot going on, in-game might be the time to do that. Alright, as you can see, I've done a decent amount of it so far. I still have the final third over here in the main middle area. But when it comes to vaults, those are your big vaults, big vault bosses to do. You're going to need to figure out how to get to those. There are 3 steps to actually be able to get into a vault. So the way they work is, first you're going to need to, within a zone, find the 3 order silos. It's these things. Usually have to go on the backside of the order silo to get to the console, and then the console is going to launch this like weather balloon thing that's up there, and it's that thing that's way up in the air over there. So those things alone, by the way, on a side note, are actually pretty cool, because when you unlock an order silo, you're going to be able to use the little weather balloon thing as a zip line, and then as long as you don't touch like jump and you just change directions, you can glide without running out of stamina, without running out of jetpack for a really long time. So if I do this one right here, it's going to shoot me up, then I can just launch. Maybe I want to go over here, float this direction. But like, you can actually get to these train tracks over here that you might not be able to otherwise. And now that I'm here, small teaser for you, if you get to these train tracks from here, bobblehead, hanging out. I know those are a couple around. Also, if you see anything that looks like this is a little world boss fight. But if you do see a purple dome and you go inside, don't leave. Because as soon as you go inside, you initiate the boss fight, which may or may not be that difficult depending on your gear loadout. But the other thing is, if you leave, it disappears. So you need to stay within the bounds of the like dome and continue the fight. So try and find your cover, whether it be trees or one building, and do circles around the building. But if you walk out, it's over, and you're going to miss whatever drops could have happened from that world boss. And currently at my level, I am getting a ton, and I mean a ton of purples and the occasional legendary just from these guys. So if you see one, definitely don't like skip it. I would usually make the detour anytime you see one of these and do the boss fight, because you're only just going to get more loot from it. So back to our loot. So order silos, you got to find these things. There's probably maps and stuff for them. You got to capture them. So you got to capture 3. For every order silo that you capture, so 1, 2, where's the third one over here? It's way over here. 3, the order silo is going to give you the location of a vault fragment, and it's going to give it to you in an area. So for me, I know if I come back over wherever I was, I know a vault fragment specific piece was found right back here. So I know this one was found here. So what it's going to do is, like, it's going to give you a region to look in. It's pretty big. I'm sure there's, like, you know, maps and stuff that'll tell you exactly where to go. I'm trying to, like, not spoil everything for you in this video, by the way. That's why I'm not saying this one's here, this one's here, this one's here. But you're going to need to find 3 vault fragments. 1, 2, 3. Once you've got the 3 vault fragments acquired, different things are going to show up on your map. This is an actual vault. The vault you can see is somewhere in this area. At that point, you just need to find the entrance. You'll have the 3 vault fragments that you need. And then once you find the actual entrance location, then you'll be able to march on up to it, put the vault fragments in, open up the vault, and then go through the actual vault, the combat, and the boss, and go from there. I'm trying to keep it vague because in case some of you don't want spoilers in there, that's fine. I will probably do boss guides and vault guides and stuff later if you guys want to see that, especially let me know in the comments. But that's the idea. Find the 3 order silos in each, you know, biome, basically. Forest, mountains, and over here in the caldera or whatever that is. When you find all 3, then you're going to have, like, for each one you find, one of these little vault fragments will pop up. So as you find an order silo, you'll find the little vault fragment things popping up. When you pick up all 3 of those, the vault zone will, like the entrance zone will open. Find the entrance, put in the fragments, you're good to go. So that's your order, but order silos also themselves occasionally just a really good way to zip line around. Before this thing disappears, I'm going to go take care of this. So on to the next tip. Like I said this in the other video, but I just want to remind you again, hard mode is well worth it. The elemental affinities alone allow you to do so much more damage if you match them. So if you're going against armor and you're using corrosive, you're doing like 175% damage. I can nuke some things and I'm on hard mode, and I'm pretty sure that's like easy as maybe a 10% bonus. Yeah, you won't die as fast, but things won't die as fast either. If you can manage the difficulty, better rewards, and being able to, if you play the element game properly, being able to kill things faster, believe me, it actually works, because there's some chunky enemies that I've taken down very, very quickly, kind of surprisingly quickly when you match things right. So consider it. If you don't love it, that's fine, but I do recommend it because the extra cash is nice and the loot quality, you'll notice it, especially as you're leveling up. You'll see some nice drops earlier than you probably expect to. Kind of one of the last things I want to mention is just a little bit more detail about your vehicle. When you start unlocking different vehicles, the first one's kind of chunky. Like, you'll notice it's a little bit of a big boy here. And some of these things are, you know, they're wide. When you're driving around through narrow bridges with boxes on them, this might get in the way. So if you unlock something that's very narrow, for example, like this guy, it honestly might make your mobility just a little bit easier getting around the map, squeezing in tight places. So I do recommend checking out your actual vehicle shells, because that can make a difference. But the biggest thing is hover drive. If you haven't come in here, please do, because you probably unlock stuff you don't know about. But the biggest thing is the more you use weapon types, like say Jacob's, the more you're going to unlock a better engine for your Digirunner. And you can see, like, Jacob's, I've got it at level 3. If I put that on, I'd have a little better handling, but right now my speed and boost are better with the one that I've got. This one's actually rank 4. So while the Tidor to Diore, I'm probably butchering that, sorry. That's at rank 1. Yeah, it doesn't seem that great, but notice the speed is only 2 notches away from Torg right now. If I max this thing out, I'm probably going to have top speed. So it may take me a while to use Tidor weapons or gear, whatever it may be, to get there. But when I do, this thing may be the fastest top speed thing of all of them, depending on where things end up. Like, the order getting ranked up might be good, but the boost is really low. If you love boost, this might be the way to go. So first, figure out what you like. And you might have a tendency of weapons, so you have to, like, if you have to use Daedalus all the time, you're like, oh, it's going to be a bit of a slog. You'll figure out which ones you do really want to put the time in for, depending on what stats you like. But if you want to check how things are going, go to missions, go to challenges, and check your weapon, like, vendor types. So whether it's Ripper, or Tidor, or Malawan. Like Malawan, I'm on level 2. I'm working on the blue hover drive. You can see that there in the rewards. Torg, for example, I'm working on the legendary hover drive, which seems like it'll be a bit of a beast. Good amount of money, and other stuff as well. And all this is just getting kills with guns or gear. So it's not hard to do. It's going to happen over time, eventually, probably with most of them. But if you look through the stats, you kind of see a baseline and know that most of them will kind of get another notch out when they level up. You might see that there's certain types of weapons, you're like, I don't really love the weapon type, but I probably need to have a, you know, a Malawan on me because I want top speed, or I probably should use a Torg occasionally to make sure I keep working towards whatever it is. So here's where you can check it, missions and challenges, but I do recommend looking through the vehicles, looking through the hover drive, see what stat base you like. Do you care more about, you're like, I don't care as much about speed. I just want to be able to accelerate quickly and handle well. Like, the boost could suck as long as I can turn and see where I'm going. You're like, I think I can drive this thing pretty well. Give me all the boost I can get. So that's the idea. Just wanted to cover that in case you hadn't seen it in another video, but also the missions and challenges are where you can kind of check your progress and see how it's going. But yeah, try these different ones out. They will feel different when you level them up. And if you're using one weapon a ton, first off, your rewards are going to go right here. This is where you're going to unlock them. But secondly, if you do have a tendency for one weapon, one of your hover drives is just going to be miles ahead of the other one. Make sure you're using that until the other ones catch up. Final thing is GPS lines. This is one of those things that, like, it's not a perfect system. I appreciate that it draws a really long line on the ground that I can follow. Maybe it's a little off and funky sometimes, but it's generally pretty good. Sometimes, though, if you look at a structure, like I come here, I'm like, okay, so I can order silo. I see it on the map, but how the heck do I get to it? Because order silos, you always have to, like, go around and go in the back entrance or whatever. Sometimes those are really hard to get to. So if I try and go, like, right here and be like, cool, there's my point. That's where I'm going. And then I get there and I look up at it and I'm like, how the heck do I get up there? The GPS sometimes is actually really helpful just to say, you actually really need to do this really long loop around, go back over here, climb up and scale these walls, and then come in the backside. That's how you do it. So if you stare at it and you're like, this is not happening, check your map, really drop the GPS, like your custom pin right there on it, and it might give you a full different direction to go around and guide to, because some of them are really funky. Like this one over here, pretty easy to get to now, but there was quite a bit of a hop around for one of these. I think it's the one actually up here, up top. Yeah. Snowy Wells. To get up here, do you see the big old zigzag, like, you can start down here, and then you're like, okay, go right here, 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 jump up, go all the way around. Then, and when you're finding the data pads, by the way, those can be in some funky spots too. I've been recording most of the safe houses as I've been going along. If you want to see how to unlock every safe house, let me know if that's a video you're interested in as well. But again, sometimes the GPS will save you a couple headaches because you're like, I know I can get up there, but I'm not sure how. You might just be missing the initial start off to the right and then loop around, as opposed to trying to scale a wall that's just not happening. Check them out. The GPS might actually save you some headaches. The final thing I will mention, and I haven't even seen one of these either. By the way, another purple dome, so I've got a world boss in my future. If you ever see an enemy that is running away, or maybe hasn't run away, but it looks like it's got this like glowing comet tail of gold coming out the back of it, go get that enemy if you can. Try and match the damage types. Make sure you go shields first or armor first, and then health, whatever it may be. That is like a loot pinata, pretty much. So if you get a chance to, I have only seen them in other videos and like mentioned, but if you see one, try and like make a beeline for it and do the best you can to take it out as quickly as possible, because there's potentially some really good stuff in there, but you got to catch it. So keep that in mind. And I hope this helped you guys. This is some more advanced tips and things like that. Do you guys want to see solo guides for bosses? Because I've been playing the game basically solo. So do you want to see solo guides for campaign bosses? Do you want to see what I've been using for this character, who's probably not like an optimal build, but it's kept me alive? Let me know what you want to see in the comments below for me for future content on this. I'm potentially looking at either doing like safe houses, like where all the data pads are at, because I swear half of those things are off cliffs or somewhere else. But I'm really open, so drop a comment below if you even just want to say hello. But if you want to see certain things for this game, let me know. If you're enjoying the content, subscribe, like, follow me on pretty much all the platforms. Hopefully you guys can find me wherever you're at. And to everybody who watched this one, thank you for the support and hope to see you in the next video. Have a good one and good luck farming.